Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and right now I'm going to be doing a spotlight on story for Thor, issue number 212. Why go way back? Well, for one thing, Thor's kind of awesome. Look, ever since I found out about Thor, he's been one of my favorite characters ever. I mean, you got a whole bunch of other characters with great things that they have the potential to do, like the mutants, all the potential storylines there, the storylines that we've had, the storylines we're still looking for. You got Superman, this alien from another planet, comes down to Earth and just these great strengths and all the incredible storylines we've had and the ones we're still looking for. But then you've got a space Viking. I'm just saying. Look, to take matters into another hand, more aliens have been alien species, all that have been introduced in the pages of Thor than I believe any other comic book, with the only exception possibly being Fantastic Four itself. In fact, most of the times these two comics, Fantastic Four and Thor, would actually jump back and forth between explaining alien series. Maybe an alien would be introduced here and then explained there, or vice versa. They would bounce ideas back and forth all the time. So if you want a good history of the Marvel Universe, Fantastic Four is one of the comic books to be reading. The other one, that would be Thor. All right, guys. So now we're going to look at this comic, issue number 212. The reason why is because, look, today is the 26th of November, all right? And today there was a 17-minute preview, 17-minute long preview, that's practically an entire episode, of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Season 5, Episode 1. This is a pretty big deal. They show up in space, all these crazy things, and we've been looking at these Brood-looking characters for a while now. Now, they're sitting there talking about, oh, Brood, all these other comic book channels and whatnot. Look, they're not the Brood, okay? They couldn't possibly be the Brood because the Brood are clearly owned by Fox Studios right now. And there's no way that a deal has been worked out this soon. Absolutely no way. Nonetheless, I still didn't explain to the minute for the Brood. What we found out in this particular issue, this preview, is that those characters are actually the Vrellnexian. Now, Thor, number 212, is the first appearance of the Vrellnexian. In fact, it's kind of the only appearance. There are two other stories where they're mentioned. You'll maybe see like a quick little image of them, but I swear they're like, there's this issue, and then there's these other two issues out there of some other comic books where it's like, who cares? Who cares? It's just a picture of them and they're on a council. You know what I'm saying? Intergalactic Space Council. So they've never really been much of anything. In fact, even in this comic book, they're pretty much not much of anything. There's not going to be an origin story in here. There's nothing. There's no purpose in me even making an explained in a minute for these guys. But I may do something in the future where I do a bunch of random alien species, and this will be in it. Anyway, guys, for now, we got June 1993 for Thor number 212. Jerry Conway is writing. John Buscema and Don Perlin are on art. They say art, it's actually pencils, because we've got the inker, that's Vince Colletta, and we've got the colors, that's Stan Goldberg. On top of that, we got Denise Vladimir on letters. She actually changed her name to Denise Wohl at one point. And Roy Thomas is actually the editor at this particular junction in Marvel. Now, this issue is called Journey to the Golden Star. The Golden Star is the home planet. It's not the origin planet. We don't really know. They don't give us enough detail in here for the Vrellnexians. What happens is, Thor, in the beginning of this issue, Thor goes and breaks through the doors to this room. It's actually in Avengers Mansion. Thor and the Warriors 3 have been banished to Earth some time ago. Several issues ago. I think it was issue number 192, if I'm remembering correctly. Maybe it was 196, whatever. Just because Thor's cocky and Odin's a hard ass. So, like, it's a story of their lives. You know what I'm saying? It's always been the case. So, Thor gets banished down there. The Warriors 3, by default, because they stand up for Thor all the time, they get banished too. But there's actually a fourth Warriors 3 in this particular run. And it's Hildegard. She was introduced. She's actually a Valkyrie on top, and she's considered a part of the Warriors 3 just for this very short run. What's interesting is, even in the movies, you'll see Thor will be taller than everybody else. He'll look down at everybody else, with the exception of Hulk, right? But for the most part, he's looking down at everybody else. He's a big dude. In this, imagine the Hulk being a hot Viking chick, all right? Space Viking chick on top of that. Hildegard stands a full head taller than Thor. She's not as strong as Thor, but it's scarily close. It's frighteningly close how strong she is. It's insane. She's an amazing swordswoman. I mean, she is a Valkyrie, but besides that, forget about her having a sword in her hand. Just barehanded, she can go toe-to-toe with Thor. She's huge, and she brokes no crap from anyone, including Thor. Let me give you an example. Thor goes breaking down the doors to Avengers Mansion. This one bedroom in there. And he's like, no, I will see this. And Fandral and Hogan are like, no, it is too much for mere immortal eyes to see. I love that they threw that in. For, we say mere mortal eyes, mere immortal eyes to see. It's like, nay, I say thee nay, I shall see. And it's like, oh, you were right. It's like Thor. The problems that you have with Odin? Those are actually problems you have with everybody. The problem as you see it is Odin actually has authority over you and power over you and has the ability to banish you and put you in Donald Blake's body and things like that. So why don't you calm down, dude? For once in your life. Still hasn't. Right now, currently, if you guys are watching this way in the future, we're waiting for the Mighty Thor issue number 702 to drop. All right? So, we're here like 490 issues in the past. Anyway, so Thor is just like, no, what's going on? And what's in the room? It's Baldur, the Brave. And this is one of the few times we get to see him without his helmet on, that big, awesome freaking helmet. And he's just laying there. Oh, he's mad. He's a madman. He's like, what could have befallen this man's eyes that he should freak out like this? So, it's back when Thor's doing the thou, thee, thou art stuff. Anyway, so he's all sorts of freaked out. He's like, okay, listen, I've had enough of this. Odin has banished us down here, and look at all the crazy stuff that's happening. Midgard's a dangerous place, man. Give me frost giants any day. I'll go to Jotunheim and fight trolls and all that. But Midgard's driving us mad. So he's like, Odin must pay for this. Like, I blame Odin for this. His inability to blame himself for anything is the reason why he's stuck in Donald Blake's body at all. Anyway, so this is, oh my God, Thor. You gotta love Thor. How belligerent he is. So Thor's like, I blame Odin. We're going back now. That's it. We're going back. He was banished, but it wasn't like, it's not like the Silver Surfer, being banished to Earth and Galactus goes and puts a barrier around Earth that everybody could pass except for Nor and Rad. No. What do you call it? Odin was just like, I'm not even wasting my magic on you. My Odin magic? Get out of here. Go down the, I'm not using the Odin force on you. Just go to Earth. Go away. Thor's like, fine. So Thor's like, all right, gather up together, guys. One person needs to stay here. Hildegard, I need you to. And she's like, man, shut up with that. Get out of here with that. Just because I'm a woman. Wrong answer. This is not this woman's work. You know what I'm saying? I'm a warrior. She's not a nursemaid. So of course, Volstag's like, I'll stay. You got Jarvis down there. He's a good cook. Jarvis is a good cook, all right? Of course Volstagg is going to stay. He's got to get his 12 square meals a day. Well, that's the first half of the day. So they all get together. They go up to the roof, and then boom, they go up to the Bifrost. So they start walking like, why is it empty? Where's Heimdall? What's going on? So they start walking through, the city once they get to the Asgard proper. They start walking through the city. It's like, dude, the streets are empty. What's going on here? And there's this lizard dude up on top of this roof. And he's like, and he jumps down and he attacks Hildegard. I guess you're going for the one that looks the weakest, right? She literally just pulls this thing off, swings him once by the tail, tosses him into a wall. There's a noise that's made that sounds like a cross between bones breaking and flesh being splattered. When this thing lands on the ground, it fizzles and dissolves into nothing. Ew. So like, what manner of beast is this? All of a sudden, here comes, see if I can pronounce this name. And I know I wrote it down, so let me see if I can really get this down. I don't see it. Whatever. Sith. That's the sound that this thing makes. Just the name of it. Oh, there it is. Sithgar. Three S's. Thgar. Sithgar. Anyway, and his whole retinue shows up. And, oh, wow, I got through all that without looking at it. I've literally got one more thing to say. Anyway, the one thing I got to say about that afterwards that I wrote down was that, he's like, you'll pay for that. And it's like, what? You'll pay? How dare you? What happened to Odin and the rest of my Asgardian brethren? And Sgar is like, oh, that explains it. You weren't here, but you're part of these guys. Oh, listen, let's go get some mead. I'll explain what happened. You're not going to like what happened. Let's go talk. Thor's like, okay. Hogan is the only one who's like, this doesn't seem right. And everybody else, like, of course, especially Fendrel, I always trust Thor. He's always gotten us out of this stuff before. Fendrel is dumb. Look, he's a pretty face. Chicks dig this guy, but he is dumb. All right? So, like, when Hogan speaks, y'all should learn to listen. Anyway, Hogan the Grim is all like, yeah, not cool, man, but okay, whatevs, man. I'm on guard. I ain't putting my mace away. That big dotted mace of his. So they go marching off, and they're hanging out in the mead hall. They're drinking and whatnot. And it's like, okay, listen, in order to tell you what happened, I got to first start off by telling you my story. So his story is that, we were lizards. And basically a meteor didn't come to, destroy us in the 5 big volcanoes and all this stuff, whatever, right? We got to survive, and we were the dominant species on our planet, okay? Unlike you mammals. But we grew up very similar to you mammals. We eventually earned opposable digits, all right? And then we went about and we did our things. And eventually they got to what we would consider the Victorian age. Like, the scenery is gorgeous, and they're all in their Victorian era style dress. Meanwhile, they're lizards. Got their big green tails and their big green snout and everything. So a bunch of these lizard guys are just hanging out, and all of a sudden this alien group comes down. Here's the Vrellnexians. All right. So these freaky insectoid creatures come down, and they're all like, get these guys. We're going to use them as slaves. So these guys are huge on the slave trade. So like, yeah. They capture them. These guys are coming in with, flintlock pistols and swords and whatnot. And it's like the Vrellnexians have lasers. So who do you think won? So they enslave everybody, put them on the ship. They fill the ship to capacity. The problem is, as they were leaving, they were passing by the Bifrost, and they saw Heimdall there. Heimdall's like, oh, no, you ain't. He starts blowing on the Gjallarhorn. So Odin comes forth with his sword, and all these, space Vikings come out with their swords. Now, Odin is a total punk here, and he's not just like, man, get out of here with that, and just blast them all into nothingness. No, he comes out with a sword and a horse. It's not even Sleipnir. And they're all like, let's kick some booty. So it was, I gotta admit, like, I don't like to make fun of my comics. I like to have fun with my comics. I don't like to make fun of my comics. These guys actually come out and they start fighting, and it's just, it's comically sad. They get overwhelmed, even though there's way more of them. They get overwhelmed, and they're like, yeah, these are a much better stock. So we're going to leave some of these guys behind. They were marooned. Basically, and also it says that, they escaped while this fray was happening, while this fight happened. So, while all the Asgardians are rounded up on the ship, they needed as much room as they possibly could. They left, and these creatures were here. They're not even given a name. They're the that's what they're called. All right, not even Sleestacks. If you get that reference, you're awesome. So they leave these guys behind. They escaped and all that. And that's when we're up to the modern day. So like, yeah, we'd really love to go and get these guys back. They're in this planet called the Golden Star. Nobody stops to ask, how did you know this? So they go flying out there in the space Viking ship. They're like, yeah, let's do this, man. You know what I'm saying? So they got the big space Viking ship, and like, this is amazing. How your sails are filled, yet we're in space. How is this possible? And it's awesome. They land on this beautiful planet, you know what I'm saying? Which it looks kind of like Canes. You know, I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. I've read it more than I've ever. Let's just say it looks like Versailles. Okay, let's say that it's gorgeous. There's some place I've actually been, but they just it's gorgeous, and they're just like, you know, they're walking around, dude. This is sweet, and all of a sudden they turn a corner and walk open to a slave block auction. Yeah, and there's Odin right there in chains and ripped clothes, and he's like, oh, my life sucks. So Thor comes out, he's like, though I am angry at my father, I must forgive him because he is blood. And it's like, dude, that's racist. So he comes out, you know, whatever, he ties a family. And he's out there and he's fighting, he's swinging his hammer, he's killing people, he's killing all these Vrellnexians. And they're like, there's some more of these guys. These guys are selling really well. Let's get these guys. Mind you, I do want to also mention the one little bit of tidbit of information that we have is that the natives of this planet was conquered. All right. The natives of this planet, two of them are actually talking to each other. And like, yeah, you can't trust these Vrellnexians. You know what I'm saying? Like they lie about anything and they'll backstab you. They'll stab you in the back in a heartbeat. You know, that's the best that we get about these guys. I know you see that preview trailer, or by now many of you guys have already watched episode 1 or the entire season. Who knows? Depends on when you're watching this video. They look pretty awesome, right? No, not in here. They're not awesome at all. They get taken over by this. Like it's a weird kind of thing because all of the Asgardians couldn't handle this ship of Vrellnexians. But in this particular case, just to handle, like the Warriors 3, minus Volstagg and having Hildegard here instead, they're able to just wipe the floor with all of these guys. But they get to this one point where Thor's right at Odin's feet fighting, and he's like, I'm here, Father, I forgive thee for thy transgressions. Say thee that thou forgivest me as well. And he's like, oh, Thor, please go. You're going to get yourself into so much trouble. And instead of just saying, you know, it's a trap, it's just like, no. And he can't really get an word in edgewise because Thor's all like, no, and you are my blood, and I am here for you, and you know, we must put past our side. Yeah. Thor, I swear to God, if you could only see past the nose on your face, you know? So he walks right into this big trap. What happens is the Vrellnexians were nobodies. Yeah, even in the one major appearance that they're in, they're nobodies. Instead, these guys, I don't think they're meant for us to actually be able to pronounce. These guys are like, ha! You believed our baloney story. And they come charging in, that. Like, we were partnered with these guys, but we had to find a way to take them over because we want all the money. Oh, God. So bad. So the were actually the major threat there. Oh, for crying out loud. So the betrayal is deep, like it's a double-edged betrayal sword. So the next issue just goes into, 213. It's all wrapped up at this point. Like they're Thor is captured, he's a prisoner, but he literally just muscles out of it, and he just, fie upon thee, and then takes everybody out. And the story's over. We go into the following issue, and they're talking about the 4D man, the 4-dimensional man. So literally, like the storyline itself was 2 lousy issues, but the Vrellnexian themselves were relegated to that one single solitary issue. And then you'll see like an appearance on some 2099 comic where you just see them on one of them on a council of other aliens, and then another issue someplace somewhere, I don't know, they're mentioned. Like that's it. That's all there is. So if anything, this is great that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that Marvel is able to look at, all these different species that have existed in the Thor comic books at the very least, and then just say, yeah, we can do this. Let's take this race for right now. Oh man, I don't know what else they're gonna do with this, but it's for me, it's beautiful. And Space Vikings for the win. That's all I could say, guys. That's it. That's the spotlight on story for this week. It can't always be an epic hour-long thing. Anyway, guys, seriously, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't ruin your expectations for the Vrellnexians. It's just it is what it is. So honestly, I can't wait to see this version of them. All right, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.